Okay folks, I wanted to give you a quick look at the setup I use for doing my image editing. This is a view of my work table. I'm working on a Dragonfly book right now, so I've got all those books out. I've got my camera, microscope, and then I've got my laptop and a big screen for it, so I don't necessarily have to stop working on the main computer if I want to just answer email or something like that. So over here is the permanent setup. You can see the computer there, and next to it there is a toaster box where I can drop in big hard drives. You could see some of those hard drives back behind it. Behind the computer also is the power supply, and above the computer, that little box that's flashing up there, that is the network storage, and right now it's copying a bunch of files, so that's some of the noise you're hearing in the background. And then if I pivot over to the computer, you could see the main computer and how it's set up. Right now you can see I've got two screens there. I generally have Bridge up on one screen and Photoshop on the other when I'm editing. Now when I'm editing, I normally don't have this video camera sitting there. I use that for Zoom meetings, and same with the microphone there. So normally those wouldn't be sitting there when I'm editing. Tucked in down below, you can see the display screen that I can write on, and you can also see the tour box, which is a small box to the left of the keyboard. That has a number of controls that I can use in Photoshop in addition to the mouse. And then of course speakers and all that good stuff. I've got all the lights on in the room right now. When I'm editing, I normally wouldn't have it set up like that. You can see there's a light above the computer for video conferencing. There's also another video camera up there, and I've got, again, a lot of room lights on, which I wouldn't have when I was editing because I wouldn't want all that light on the screen. Although I do have a small light up above that is used for illuminating just the keyboard and anything I might be reading down below. And here's the setup as it would be configured for editing. Of course, I have my mouse. This is the screen that I can write on using this pen, which is very useful for the brush type controls. I have a mini keyboard here, which I use for when I have to enter text or hold down the shift key. But then I also have this tour box, which has a number of different controls, and I could do things like enlarge and reduce the size of a brush. I can zoom in and out. I can go left or right. I can make a number of changes with all those controls that are right there. So normally when I'm editing, I would have things set up like this, and again I'd have all the lights off. And here are things set up with the lights off. This would be the way I'd normally be editing things. So I've got no glare on the screen. Get the best possible color using these combinations. And finally, I'd just like to point out this device here. This is the sensor for my calibration system. And if I was running the calibration software, it would flash a color on the screen, and then it would analyze what that color is and make adjustments. And when I'm not using it, it gets put into this position and parked down here, where it can analyze the ambient light and make sure that the screen is adjusted to account for that ambient light. Okay, so I've showed you some of the equipment that I use, and now I want to take you through how I get the pictures off the camera and into the computer and do some basic editing. This is what we call workflow. So I'll give you a quick demonstration of this. The first thing I need to do is to get the images from the camera into the computer. Now, I could plug the camera into the computer using a cable, but I don't like to do that. If you would bend the cable or pull it out suddenly, you could damage the jack on the camera, and that would brick the camera. And so I just don't want to do that. I feel it's much safer to go to the cards. So in this case, I'm going to open it up, pop out the SD card, and then go over to my computer and insert the SD card into a card reader. And now it's ready to be downloaded. So now I want to upload the images into the computer, and I've got the card in the card reader. And so what I need to do now is go to the appropriate folder. Now I have my images arranged by month, and then within those I have subfolders. So if I go in here to February, you can see I have several of them set up. I just set up this one that says shrimp, and I'm going to go in there because that's where I want to put these files. So now I go up to File, Get Photos from Camera, and I have to select a device. I have two of these in there, two different cards in two different readers. I know I want to go to this one, and it shows me all the images I have. You can see some of those from class, and you notice that some of these are checked, and that, in fact, all of them are checked. So I'm going to uncheck all of them. I'm going to come over here, and this tells me where I'm going to put it. I want to browse here. I want to put it into the shrimp. So now it says shrimp. I'm not going to do a subfolders. I am going to rename it with the year, the month, and the date of the file. Okay, and so here's an example. It'll be 2023-02-15. That's the date it was taken. And then a serial number, which is over here. And I could reset that. I could also put in custom names like shrimp or something like that. So there's a number of possibilities that I could do. So now I'm not going to do any of these, although it might be useful to convert it to DNG if I wanted to at this point. I have a metadata template that automatically puts my name and some other information in there. I need to update it from 2022. But that all looks okay. Now I just need to choose the pictures that I want. And I want to do these shrimps, so I'm going to go in and find all the shrimp pictures. And come down to here and find my keyboard, which I set aside. Down the Shift key and click on that. Make sure I don't have any other ones. Okay, now nothing's going to happen now until I check one of these. With them all highlighted, they all get a check, and it says I've selected 44 here. So now I'll say Get Media, and it will start copying those files into that directory, and you can see them coming up. So here we are now in Bridge. I've got all my pictures in there, and what I want to do is go in. I'm going to click on one of them. I'm going to hit the space bar to blow it up to full screen. And now I'll step through these and decide if any of them are particularly out of focus. I might delete them right now rather than do anything particular to them. And I try not to be, unless it's really out of focus, I don't delete many at this stage, just in case I might need the picture later. There's one there that I probably could have deleted. These all were in pretty good focus, so I'm not too disappointed with them from that standpoint. So I just step through and take it back to the beginning now. That one's a little out of focus. That one's definitely out of focus. So all I have to do now is hit the delete key, and it was deleted. That one's out of focus. Delete that, and so on. Okay, I'm going to hit the escape key now and go back to my pictures. And now the next thing I'm going to do is go through and select which ones I might want. So again, I'm back up here, and I'm just going to click through the different files, and when I find one that I kind of like, okay, I will mark it. I kind of, not really. I like these because now I've got him in the center of the picture a little bit more. I don't like that overlap there, but I mean, I'll be able to get around it. Although this is a nice close-up one. Maybe I'll mark that one. I'm going to just press the number 2, and notice it puts 2 stars down there. And then I'll go through and maybe find another one or two. And okay, I kind of like that one. And so on. I would go through and do that for all of them, and then I would hit escape. Now, I could come over here now in my filters, and I could filter out all the ones that have 2 stars. And so these would be the ones I would work on. And at this point, I'm going to come over here, and I am going to go up to File and say New Folder. And so I've now got a folder underneath Shrimp there. And I'm just going to leave it named New Folder for now. Need to find my files again, just those 2. I'm going to highlight those and find my control key there. And I have to copy these. If I just drag them, it will simply move them. So copy, and go into New Folder, right press, right click, and I have paste. So now I've got my the images that I want to work with into position for me to edit, and if I mess them up, I won't be messing up anything in my good pictures. Okay, so now let me open these 2 up, and I'm good. Hold down the control key again. It's why is it giving me fits here? There we go. And right click. I could go open or open with. Go open with Adobe Photoshop 2023. Now these are raw images. So what I'm going to do with these, I'm going to come up, it's going to open up Camera Raw first of all. Now in Camera Raw, I have some settings here, some favorite presets here. I'm going to click on Normal here, because it has a number of things I normally like to do in there, like increase clarity and dehaze. And when I come down here to Detail, it has some noise reduction built in. If I go back here to Basic, you can see the white balance is automatic, and I might want to change that a little bit. I can use a slider here, maybe somewhere right in there, maybe is where I like it. Let's play with the exposure a little bit. I have my histogram up there, and I'm going to darken it up just a bit. I'm going to, I want to boost this up a good bit. And then I'm going to play with the blacks a little bit down here. There we go. See that blue coming in here? I've got this up to mark where I'm getting stuff that's too black. If you look over at my histogram, that's 0, 0, 0. I'm probably losing some detail in there. So I'll bring that back up till I've got almost nothing there. And then on the highlights here, or the whites, I can bring them up and down. And not really getting any place with those. Let me try the whites. Okay, now see on the whites how the red comes in here? That's telling me that that's getting too bright. I don't really care about that corner. And yeah, that's way too bright to get it that high. So I'm going to bring it about here. And looking in here, yeah, it's not quite pure white, but I think that'll do. Now, I'm going to come back in here, and I am going to create a preset of this, since I kind of like this, and I'm going to call it Shrimp. This way I'll be able to use it again. And I'm going to put it in, it's going to go in the user presets and so forth. And yeah, just going to leave it right there. And it shows all the things that are going to be adjusted. And I'm going to say, OK. And so now it is there in the presets if I want to use it. Now, the other thing I could do is I've only adjusted one of these. If I come over here to the other one, I could come up here and I could go to the previous settings. I don't have the shrimp in the favorites yet. I could go to the previous settings, and that would bring it up. And that doesn't look right at all. So I'll tweak this a little bit. It should have been the same. I can also go like this, coming here, and I can copy the edit settings and come over here, and I can paste the edit settings. There we go. That's what I wanted. Okay, so I've got them both there now. I have to make sure that I have both selected before I say open. This opens up the picture, and the first thing I want to do with any picture is crop it. And I am going to crop it up here to a good size for the screen, and I am going to go 1920 by 1440, maybe not. Get my screen dimensions here. Narrow it up a little bit. 1920 by 1080. There we go. And so now I'm going to bring my cropping in, experiment a little bit. I've got those white lines there. They're telling me where my third lines are. And maybe get that line right there. I don't want to cut off that little bit of that. Bring this in a little bit. And I'm going to get both those in. We have to go right about there. I am cutting off some of the antenna. I realize that. I'm getting a couple things on the third lines. And then I will hit enter. Go. It's now cropped. And I will go view, and I'm going to 100%. Hold down the space bar, get my little hand there, drag it into place. Okay, at this point, I'm actually almost done, unless I'm going to add some other things, but I do want to sharpen it a bit. Filter, sharpen, and I'm going to go to unsharp mask, one of my favorites. And I usually take the radius down a little bit under 1, and then I adjust this slider to get what I want. Okay, maybe right about there. If I turn off the preview, you can see I've sharpened it up a bit, sharpened up some edges in that, and that might be good enough. Say okay, and there I am. I've also got another capability here. I have an add-in called Topaz Labs, and it does some incredible stuff sometimes, and it's working on it right now. It's loading, it's an artificial intelligence. It's loading a particular model out of focus, very blurry. It's now updated things. And as I drag along, you can see the before and after. And I had already sharpened this, so it's not doing quite as much as it would have otherwise. It also does a good job of reducing noise. If you look right in here, there's a little bit of grain there. And if I come across there, that takes that out. So I've got that where I want it. I say apply. It processes it again. And now it's here. So now I file and I save it as. And I select JPEG. Save. It'll ask me quality. I generally set to the highest quality. Say OK. And my file is saved. And go to my other file, and I would do the same things with it. This one I'm going to crop in a lot more since a lot of that thing is out of focus. Right there, kind of tight in on that eye. That's where the picture is here. Okay, so I go right there. I do want to make sure, if you notice it shows me the dimensions, those dimensions right off the corner. I don't want to make those smaller than where I'm cropping it to up here. So I'm good on that. I go there, and then view 100%. Okay, and filter, I'm going to go right to the Topaz Labs. It's on a fast computer. This works pretty nice. It's also doing the out of focus very blurry. A little bit of noise right in there. We'll see what it does with it. It's updating now. It's updated. So bring it across there, and oh, I took that noise right out of there. The size sharpened up, all these little spots sharpened up. That was nice. So apply. Got my picture, file, save as. I can also rename it at this point. You notice it's already decided since last time I saved it as a JPEG that this time it will too. And I'm just going to call it shrimp. And click on save. Okay, so if I close these now and I go back to Bridge, okay, these are the only two that have 2 stars that are JPEGs. I could also just click on JPEGs here, and I could take out the, let's see, filter not, I'm going to clear all, and oh, that's right, those are the only 2 filters in there. I was thinking of this other one. Now what I would do is I would take these modified ones, these 2 JPEGs, and I would highlight those, and I would drag them back up to shrimp. And so, drag them back up to shrimp. There we go. I might leave these here if I'm going to work on them again. I could also just delete them. And when I come up here into shrimp, now if I just go to the JPEGs, I can bring them up very quickly. Or if I have this set to file name, since all my file names begin with numbers, at least that one shrimp will pop right out of there very easily. So then I could take it, put it someplace else. Now, of course, I have to save this at some point, back it up someplace else. It's on my hard drive array right now, and at some point I will copy that onto a actually, right now it is on my SSD drive in the computer. Tonight it will get copied to my hard drive array. And I will also copy it onto a small portable hard drive, which I will then take down to school and copy it onto my computer there. So I'll have it safe. So that's my basic workflow there. Of course, there's a lot of other editing and stuff I could do. But that's basically how I get pictures from the camera into Bridge and then into Photoshop, and how I do my basic editing. And it goes pretty quick when you do it like that. So there you have it. That's basically the workflow from the equipment that I use through the editing. Hope that helps you out when you're doing your own work. Of course, you'll be working on different types of computers and that, but the same basics apply. Use a card reader to get it into your computer. Use Bridge to download the pictures into a directory on your computer. Use Bridge to sort through, eliminate the ones that you don't like, and then mark the ones that you do like. Take the ones you do like and that you want to edit, copy them to a different folder, go into that folder, open them up, do your editing, save them, and then I save them back to the original folder, and I can delete that work folder if I want to. So that's it. That's all the tricks, and hopefully these will be useful for you in class.